Currently, the Model S long range is the only Tesla to exceed 400 miles estimated by the EPA, but it's very likely that the Model Y could be the next Tesla to cross that milestone. This is not a for sure confirmed thing, it involves a lot of speculation, but I guess a lot of people were recently really excited because Elon once again told everyone that the Model Ys coming out of GigaTexas would be 4680 batteries only, and the 4680, for those who don't know, is Tesla's next generation battery tech with tabless electrodes and a structural battery pack. And now, thanks to all of the great people covering GigaTexas construction like Jeff Roberts, we can see lots of front casting pieces being built at scale. In fact, looks like quite a few of them that have been coming out of the GigaPress got strapped to a semi-truck and have now been shipped off to Fremont to go into prototype vehicles, or maybe just validating the reliability of the GigaPress. We're not exactly sure where they're taking them, but we do know GigaTexas is sadly not prioritizing the Cybertruck production right away, but it is making pretty astounding progress. All of the steel has gone up for the 4680 manufacturing section of the factory, which points to the idea of later this year, Model Ys with 4680s inside them rolling off that factory line into customers' hands. That's a real possibility that we could be looking at within the next 6 months, and GigaBerlin is also rumored to be potentially one of the first factories mass producing vehicles that have 4680s in them that are actually driving around and customers own them. But because of all the holdups and paperwork and guidelines and approvals that Tesla has to go through over in Germany, Elon's deadline for GigaBerlin has no longer been summer of this year, and now it's kind of pushed to some point at the end of 2021. That's their goal. I hope it can be operational by then, and obviously the bummer of that whole story is the factory is basically ready. Like, you can tell just by looking at drone shots from the outside. The powertrain facility, the general assembly, the paint shop, all of that stuff is pretty much done. There's just a few sections they've left open, I think, so that they can bring in larger size equipment without having to go through traditional doorways, but you can tell that factory is pretty much ready to go, and there's essentially just a lot of paperwork holding up the back end, and Elon has been actively encouraging their suppliers from Germany to ship their parts because, of course, vehicles can only be built as fast as the slowest part in the supply chain. But it is exciting to know that Elon is planning for next generation precision with Model Y production coming out of Berlin, saying that they want to measure panel gaps and paint and everything with microns, not millimeters, which, if quality control was your biggest concern with Tesla, it seems like that's going to be exclusively a Fremont problem, not a Tesla problem. So very likely Berlin, Shanghai, and of course GigaTexas are not going to have the same quality control issues that Fremont did, thanks to more mainstreamed mass production techniques and next generation paint shops that Elon's been talking about for years now. But of course it takes a while for us to actually see the results of those next generation manufacturing techniques. So I'm very much looking forward to how much better their vehicles can be when they have the structural battery pack, the single piece front casting, the single piece rear casting, and I'm sure all kinds of other details that Tesla hasn't even talked about when it comes to the next generation of Model Y. But if you guys recall, at Battery Day, the structural battery pack in the updated 4680s is supposed to allow for at least a 30% boost in range, and if we apply that to the current Model Y long-range EPA estimated target, then you can easily imagine a range tapping out a little over 420 miles. How perfect would that be? It's Elon, and he loves the 69, 420 jokes like non-stop, so if we had a Model Y with an EPA estimated range of 420, oh my god, that would be so perfect. There are no accidents. But simultaneously, I have been seeing a few people speculate that it's possible Tesla could decide to put in a physically smaller 4680 battery pack that would have the same capacity as the previous generation Model Y. So basically, you use your next generation cells to achieve the same range of the 2170 cells, which currently is 326, at least according to Tesla and the EPA. So that would probably be cheaper on Tesla's end if they decided to put in like an overall smaller battery pack that had the same range as before. It wouldn't cost Tesla as much. The vehicle would probably be lighter because of the structural battery pack and the single piece castings, which makes it more efficient. But very easily, if Tesla wanted to, they could just decide to not have any range improvements and instead just make it a cheaper, more profitable vehicle. But of course, that that's not exactly what I would like to happen. And the number one question I would definitely ask Tesla if I had a chance to ask them something on the earnings call is how the GigaTexas factory is going to coexist with the Fremont factory, because Fremont is churning out Model Ys like crazy right now, and GigaTexas is supposed to come online later this year. So how are you going to have Model Ys with the older 2170 batteries and not the structural battery pack being built? And you're also simultaneously selling the structural battery pack 4680 Model Y. Isn't everybody just going to want to instantly want the Texas-made Model Y, and then suddenly no one would be interested in the Fremont model? My prediction, in case you haven't been watching my videos for a while, is that similar to Tesla having kind of 3 different variants of the Model S, you know, they've got the long range, they've got the Plaid, and then they've got the Plaid Plus, and the Plaid Plus has the best acceleration and the best range. That's my prediction, is how they're going to roll out the 4680 equipped Model Y. It's going to have the best range and the best performance, and if anything, GigaTexas might just only be producing all performance Model Ys at first, because when you're first mass producing 4680s, they're going to be a lot more expensive, and Tesla has said that GigaTexas is going to start out with, you know, pretty low volume at first and work its way up. So it makes sense to start out production with the lower volume Model Y, which of course is the performance model. That way Tesla can charge a lot more per vehicle during the early startup days where the 4680s don't have a super high yield yet, and in the first initial start of production, they're not that cheap to build. And then Fremont can designate just doing normal long-range Model Ys, and perhaps at that point, maybe the standard range Model Y could come back, and that one will still be rocking 2170s until GigaTexas can catch up on the production rate and eventually get to a point where even the cheaper, just normal long-range Model Y, the non-performance variant, could have 4680s that easily surpass 400 miles, and who knows, may have even better charging speeds or way less degradation over time. I'm sure once the 4680s are out into consumer vehicles, people are going to want to get that Model Y as soon as possible. So I could see a big spike in demand if suddenly there was a $50,000 Tesla with a range over 400 miles. That would be pretty dang tempting, and to know on top of that you're not going to have as many quality control issues with that vehicle. I'm very excited to see exactly how Tesla hits the market with it, and seeing them already testing the GigaPress at the facility is encouraging. Seeing how much progress they're making at GigaTexas gives me hope that we will have 4680 Teslas driving around on city streets by the end of this year. And don't get confused by the last earnings call. They did say that the 4680 volume production is 12 to 18 months away, but I think that early production is still going to be seen by the end of this year at both Berlin and Texas. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Is Tesla going to go for a smaller battery pack on the Model Y with the same range as before, or are they going to do a 400-mile range Model Y? My guess is they are. I think that Tesla knows there's a moving goalpost when it comes to range, and they know that Model Y would instantly become a top seller, and everybody would want to get one if they knew that the range was in a completely different target from all the rest of its competitors. So I'm guessing there will be a 400-mile range Model Y by the end of this year. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.